Love you too. Because I know. What are you doing today? So you go around to. You did?
Wow. I understand. I left mail at the city hall and the social security number forms. Yeah, that should be on file. I already filed it twice with the city. If you guys have lost it, then hear from my lawyer. Yeah, I think you should. And I did fill out 3 separate spreadsheets, one for each place that I bought stuff. Okay. And but then I totaled it up on the front page. Yeah, that should be fine. Where it says pay me, and I turned the sheets and said pay me. Yeah, pay me. And but I did forget. Okay. So I'm gonna try to find it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna send an email to you, but we got a from our accounting office to try to get all of our June. So you've got lots of time still, but yeah, so you guys. Well, I think this is one from Leonardo's, and I think I have to go down there and get another receipt. Okay. But I sent you the original receipts. Okay. I kept copies. Okay. Okay. So if you need something else, just give me a quick email and I'll figure it out. Sounds good. Thank you.
So. I mean, our neighbors, you know. I don't.
So that was, a lot of people read their pieces.
Yeah, so the way that Ohio is right now, we're still have a chat on there. Is if you guys tell anyone to submit just anything like that. And that'll only be like 4 or 5. Yeah, that makes sense. I might not have you.
So, using a cane, okay. Try to keep the number down.
And I'll just I show this at the house.
So they never go and then they sort of
Very, very nice.
they're both actually
And then on that,
sort of want like keeping it up.
or other.
Old dog.
You know.
Just hates the new dog in the house. Like, yeah.
But I knew to really be living in Syria. And not. Very. No, I just. Yeah, it's the first, thanks.
You know, I've always lost faith. Backyard. I heard your name and then I got it. No, that was fine. I never thought I'd get the beach place. Yeah, sucked me in. I knew what you said. It was really it's all the project, and so.
So, which money,
Project status. He gets us.
My granddaughter.
Yeah. What I'm hearing.
Hi, Sophie.
No,
It's gonna freeze later.
it's gonna be 80 degrees tomorrow.
Seriously?
Yes, 880.
I'm at 79, who's count?
So if you missed out today and you didn't wear shorts, you'll have an opportunity tomorrow.
Why don't we go swimming late?
Go swimming in the lake. I think the temperature is 39.
No, don't swim in the pool. I think that's really bad. No, I just read an article, it's really bad for your heart, really bad for a lot of things,
For what?
about swimming in the lake when it's freezing.
You have to acclimate yourself. That's why,
He's not gonna do that.
that's why you see them doing snow angels in the Zamboni savings to put your way out to it.
Well, everyone, yeah, it was seriously, I just read it like, yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's-
During a warning.
David, I'll do that.
Yeah, no, I know people who do too.
Well, I'd like-
Yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone and I hope everyone had a chance for a bowl of chili.
Thank you, Dana.
There's plenty left, so if you guys want any to take home, please feel free.
And so we're gonna start, as we often do, with introductions. So we're gonna change that up a little bit and start with the people online. So CJ, you're first.
All right, thank you. Hello, my name is CJ Knudsen from the Vermont Lake Monsters.
Sophie?
Hi, I'm Sophie Quest and with the Old East End and live on Chase Street.
Troy?
Hello, hello, Troy Hedrick. I live on Billadu Court and am also one of 2 state reps for this district.
Earhart?
Hi, folks. This is Erhard Matka over at 60 Grove Street, part of the Old East End. Sorry I can't join you in person tonight.
And Jean?
Hi, I'm Jean. I'm at co-housing on East Ave.
All right, and then we have a number of people here. We do have microphones around. So I've got one right here. Start off right here in the front row.
Sharon Busher, live on East Avenue.
Can't really see.
There you go, thanks. Joel Collada, 20 Chase Street, Old East End.
Samantha Ayat, 20 Chase Street at Old East End.
Hi, I'm Dave Cawley. I live on Nash Place, also part of the Old East End.
I'm Fletcher Pratt. I live on Riverside Ave in Ward 1.
Catherine Bach, I live upstairs in this house. Hi, I'm Barbara Shaw Dorso. I work at the Burlington Community Justice Center and I live in the South End.
Hi, Thomas DeSisto. I live on Germain Street, which I suppose is the Graveyard District.
Gary Golden, on Clarko Court. I'm gonna do this.
I am Carol Livingston. I'm on the steering committee for the Ward 1 NPA, and I live with Gary on Calarco Court, which I think is still part of the old East End.
I'm Jonathan Chapel Sokol. I'm one of the members of the steering committee, and I live on North Prospect Street, which I think is part of the old East End of the old North End.
Hi, I'm Angie Chapel Sokol. I live on North Prospect with that guy.
Hi, I'm Catherine Verman. I live on North Street, Upper North Street. I don't know what end it's in.
I'm Karen Long. I live on Henry Street.
That's okay. We'll keep this one.
Richard Hilliard, High Grove Court, which is over there.
Cyril Flash off of East Avenue.
And Carter Newbeezer, I'm on the NPA, and I'm on Colchester Ave.
Thanks. I did what I think I failed to do almost every day, and that's introduce myself. My name's Tom Darenthal. I live on Nash Place. I have the privilege of living right next to Dave. And so with that, I think we have some announcements. CJ, you wanted to make an announcement? I can't.
Okay, I gotta unmute myself. Thank you. Thanks very much for having me tonight. I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the upcoming baseball season for the Vermont Lake Monsters, and thank you guys for your support. We kick off our home opener this year on May 24th is our home opener. And we wrap up our regular season on Friday, August 5th. Hopefully we make the playoffs again. If we do, we'll wrap up around August 11th or 12th. We won the championship in 2021, which was the first time since 1996. Made it to game 3 of the finals last year and lost in the bottom of the 9th, which was a bummer, but that's why I play them. The new exciting thing for us this year, and really for the entire community, is we were selected to host the All-Star game. So we're going to host the All-Star game on Tuesday, July 25th. The last time there was an All-Star game at Centennial Field was July 14th, 1986. So about 37 years. So that'll take place on Tuesday, July 25th. The day before, we're going to have a home run derby on that Monday, followed by an on-field concert, which will last about an hour or so. And it should be a great community event. People will be traveling in from all over the country and obviously from Vermont to cheer on the best baseball players in the league. We plan on doing a post-game fireworks show on that Tuesday, which is the 25th. And then we'd like to do 3 additional fireworks shows throughout the course of the season. The first one being Saturday, June 3rd. The second one being Saturday, June 24th. The third one being Saturday, July 15th. And then the one following the home run derby on July 25th. We continue to offer great promotions at the ballpark, drawing in families. Kids eat free every Wednesday. Post-game have a catch on Sundays for the kids. Free face painting. And continue to do a lot of good community service. This week we announced a partnership with the Vermont Food Bank to help raise funds and awareness for them all summer to help with food insecurity. So on our roster right now, we have 4 or 5 Vermonters, which is fantastic. We had Vermonters on there in 2021, which was a huge success. We had 11 Vermonters. Last year we had 8. And being in this league, it allows us to literally have local players and players from Vermont to play for the Lake Monsters. So we're looking forward to having a really exciting season here, jam-packed with a lot of fun and affordable entertainment for families.
All right, thanks, CJ.
Thank you.
Barbara?
Can I answer any questions at all or no?
Questions? Sharon's got a question here.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, it's great to see you.
You too.
So besides Front Porch Forum, how are you going to communicate to the neighborhood about the fireworks?
We've been using the Front Porch Forum, but we can use additional means if you'd like as well. So whatever your preference is.
So it's not my preference as much as just making sure that the neighbors, there are some neighbors that have animals and are very sensitive to this. And so
Sure.
I feel that when we give them a heads up, they're happier to know that and can accommodate better. So that's all. And however you want to make that work, I don't know. I'm not looking to create problems for you, but I am trying to get that word out.
Definitely. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll think about it. Do you think if we posted lawn signs a day or two in advance around the neighborhood, do you think that would have an impact at all, or no?
I think people do read the signs if the signs are left up. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be one way. And if it doesn't work that first time, if you get complaints, then you can rethink. Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd just like to endorse the quality of the entertainment at the Lake Monsters. It's a load of fun any evening for whatever generation you might be. I go with my daughter quite a bit, walk there, and it is a blast. So if you're looking for something to do on a nice evening in the summer, it is a great way to spend 2 or 3 hours. And thank you, CJ, for keeping the whole thing going.
Thank you, Richard. We love being here, and we love the support that you guys have given us. Literally, it's been around since 1994, so it's been around for a little while now. And I think we're just really excited that the fans are coming out to the ballpark, cheering on the team, not only from Burlington, from Chittenden County and surrounding. And we're ecstatic that it's players from Vermont as well playing for us now. So, and for us to have the All-Star game, that's going to have an economic impact in the community, and we're excited about the upcoming season here.
All right, thanks. Any other comments? Dave?
I have an announcement.
Okay, Barbara?
Yep.
You had an announcement.
I do.
Want to grab a microphone? Is there one in near you?
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for giving me a few minutes to talk about our new Conflict Assistance Program, or CAP, at the Burlington Community Justice Center. We offer formal mediation, restorative dialogue, just talking with someone who will listen, or something else. I'm the CAP coordinator, and my name is Barbara Shaw Dorso. So, parking, noise disturbances, trash not being picked up, animal problems, getting off on the wrong foot with your neighbor, piling the snow up in your driveway, too many cars in their yard, letting branches grow over into your part of the yard. These are all things that happen in community, and they're also things that can impact your quality of life. They represent a breakdown in relationships, something that we talk about a lot in restorative practices, a tear in the fabric of community, as we often say. Oh, you would think this is such a small thing. Why should I try to resolve it? I might even make things worse. Well, these small things can become assumptions that work on you, friction point that keeps you from feeling comfortable with your neighbor. The Conflict Assistance Program, CAP, here at the Burlington Community Justice Center can provide a safe and brave space to have conversation with your neighbor so that this situation doesn't escalate. A space that will allow you to get unstuck and go forward with some problem solving. A confidential space with an impartial facilitator. A space that supports all participants in making the community better. So what do I mean by making the community better or making your neighborhood better? That would be different for each one of us sitting here today. However, wouldn't it be nice to be happier in your relationships with your neighbors and in community? You're there for them, they're there for you. These are the sorts of relationship understandings that help bring people closer together to develop neighborhood and happier residents. This is our first self-referral program at the CJC. Anyone can reach out to me to CAP for mediation services again, facilitation of difficult conversations, coaching, just talking. I'm going to leave some placards here, if it's all right with everyone, with my contact information. Call, text, email. I'm receptive to all of them and responsive. I really would like to talk with you if you're experiencing some conflict in your life right now. Thanks again for your time.
It's one question. So utilize those services. People have to go to Church Street where you're located.
A call.
Do you ever go to?
Yes, I do. I'm on the road too.
So you do go to people's homes or?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, very willing to connect with people wherever they want.
Okay.
Wherever they're comfortable. That's the most important thing.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Dave, you have?
Thanks, Tom. Couple of things going on in the Old East End that I wanted to let folks know about. We have partnered with UVM Office of Student and Community Relations and the Burlington Parks and Recreation to put on a free event at Shemanska Park on May 4th. We're calling it Take a Break. And it's a 2-hour time that folks can come down to the park and get some free Ben & Jerry's. So they're going to be scooping up free Ben & Jerry's there. We'll have some sports activities going on. So there'll be, cornhole toss and basketball and pickleball. And we're also having a exhibit going on inside the barn at Shemanska Park, which are some posters, historic posters about the Old East End that were done by UVM students. So we encourage everybody to come. We're looking for some nice weather to come. A couple other things that are going on. I've been working with a few folks when we came into the understanding that this year, July 4th of this year, is the 150th anniversary of the dedication of the Ethan Allen Monument. It was a really big deal 150 years ago. They had like 2,000 people come, and a lot of officials from around the state and nationally came to that event. So I've been talking to a few of the historic societies, as well as the parks and cemeteries, about possibly putting on some kind of celebration, maybe this July 4th, to honor that and commemorate that event. So stay tuned. You'll be hearing more about it as things are getting underway. And finally, I want to say that I've been working with Joel and Sam on some projects to help take a better look at traffic and transportation safety in the neighborhood. I guess we're calling it the pedestrian powered neighborhood project. But what we're doing is we're going around and we're taking surveys, we're analyzing hotspots in the neighborhood. We're trying to envision ways that we can come up with more livable aspects to handling some of the traffic that's there. Over the last 5 years, the traffic volume coming down Patchen Road and Grove Street has really increased. And sometimes the speeds in that area are incredible as well. So we're working hand in hand with the Department of Public Works, and we're going to be having some events that are coming up. So this will be taking place over the course of May, June, and July this year. So we'll also keep you posted and stay tuned to some of those details. So that's my announcement. Any questions?
I don't see any.
Okay.
And then Karen.
Okay. Oops, you're on.
Oh.
Hi, good evening. So as I stated in introductions, I live on East Avenue, and on April 19th, which is a Wednesday at 6:30, the Department of Public Works Commission meets. And they're going to be discussing the pedestrian safety improvements for East Avenue. So there are a few people that this impacts directly, but a lot of you, I just wanted people to know about it. The commission will actually vote that night to approve the recommendations. There will be some enhancements for crosswalks. There'll also be some narrowing of the road, and in doing that, there will be a loss of 13 parking spaces. We've had a number of meetings with representatives from DPW to discuss this. But I wanted people to know, and if anybody is listening that lives on East Avenue that didn't get the flyer or didn't know about this, I urge them to go and speak to the commission in advance of the vote. And the meeting, as I said, starts at 6:30. As I recall, that's a hybrid meeting, so I believe you can Zoom in or call in. So that's number one. The second thing is something that I wanted to share with all of you. And I'm sad to report that we've lost somebody in our ward that has been here and been a vocal person and someone that has interacted with us for years and years. Jared Wood passed away on March 20th. And for some people, you don't know him. For others, you know him very well. And the family is very private. And so I reached out to his wife to ask her permission to share this news with all of you. And she gave that to me, but she said, please ask them to respect our privacy. And I said, I certainly would. I said, I encouraged her to let me do this. I said, because he was a presence, a force of nature. And I think the thing that we could all do to really remember Jared is to work really hard to improve pedestrian safety. He was the biggest advocate for getting people around safely. And so, you know, there's the Bike Walk Council, and Cyril knows that I always think it's been, you know, the walk part hasn't been paid attention to enough. I feel the bike part has had a lot of attention. So I really want people to really think about ways that we can move people around safely, not only in his memory, but for all of our well-being. So thank you all. And I'm very sad about someone that I've stayed connected to for all the years that I've lived here. So anyways, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. That, yeah, Jared lived across the street from us, and he continued, Jonathan knew too, he would call me every week before an NPA, would you please say such, you know, I mean, he couldn't come in the last few years, but he stayed really connected, and he was a big walker when he could, and he really cared about pedestrian safety. So that was the one thing. And then I did want to ask Sharon if she could share about Trinity Campus, because I understood you went to the meeting. I couldn't go to, there was a meeting for graduate students. Yes. About, you know, developments with Trinity. Those were my things I was going to ask.
Want to say something?
So one of our residents is a professor at UVM and let people know about this meeting. It was for graduate students, and the meeting was focused on what kind of housing they wanted, what they'd be satisfied with. Affordability was a big issue for them, as everyone can imagine. There was a statement about the fact that they would be happy, they would be they would be satisfied with a unit that was 350 square feet. But they also, and I've seen those units, Eric Farrell has those out on North Avenue. That's the only reason why. And I know it's livable. I wouldn't have known that unless I saw that unit. But anyways, having said that, but they wanted it at a price of about $800. And some of those units go for like $1,200, $1,500, $1,700. So that didn't appeal to them. They also don't want to be merged in with undergrads. This was very important. They wanted to be in a community of graduate students or a mixed community, but not really mixed in with undergrads. They have a different outlook. They're focused different. And so that was another takeaway. The disappointing statement was that the Vice President, Richard Kate, was there. And I was incredibly disappointed. I've shared this with one city councilor, but I see that I think that Zariah is on. Yes, there you are. And anyways, Richard Kate said to this group of graduate students that the city was holding up UVM from developing Trinity campus, and that UVM had kept pace with housing and enrollment, which I don't think is actually factual. But the other thing that he said was that the city has laid their, meaning our housing crisis, at the feet of UVM and told UVM to solve the city's housing crisis, which was, and I heard that with my own ears, and I was really angry, and I was mad. I was angry and disappointed that somebody at that level would be saying that to a group of graduate students. And I don't know who else was on, because it was a Zoom phone call. So I know that and I'm sure that our counselor will know more than I do, but I'm understanding that there are the mayor and UVM administration are going to begin or have begun some talks about how we get off of where we are right now with the stalemate. So that's all I wanted to share. But I was very disappointed at the words that came out of the vice president's mouth.
Thanks, Sharon.
If you haven't guessed, we have merged announcements and speak out. So are there other people that want to speak and speak out? I don't, and Earhart, I see your hands up.
Thanks, Tom. Wow, I did not know that Jared had passed away. Thanks for letting us know, Sharon. Jared was for many years our next door neighbor, and up until recently, I would get those weekly or sometimes bi-weekly calls from Jared as well. They usually weren't about neighborhood concerns, but about more global and international concerns for folks who didn't know Jared. He used to work for USAID in Central America and had a lot of concerns about US policy and how we've really messed things up in Central America. Wow, I'm really sad. I'm really saddened to hear that he's passed on. He was, for folks who didn't know him, he was just one of the most civically engaged folks that you could well imagine. Cared deeply about the neighborhoods, cared deeply about just many things, and paid a lot of attention to a lot of the details that really make neighborhoods and make Burlington more livable, as well as those details that detract from that livability, for which he was just a perennial advocate to try and change things to make our neighborhoods more livable. So personally, I know Sydney and I are both really saddened to hear that Jared passed. I know he was getting up there in years and had been not well for the last few years, but for those folks who got phone calls from him, it was always just really sweet to talk to Jared and hear his concerns. In terms of speak out, I did have something I want to raise, which it's been in the news. I was debating whether or not to raise this, but I just feel like I have to say something about Chief Murad's behavior and the complaint that was filed against him last August by a surgeon, an ER emergency room surgeon. I assume folks are aware of what's been in the papers, and I just want to say that from what I've read, if all of that is accurate, and I have no reason to believe that the surgeon that filed the complaint and that was reported in 7 days was inaccurate in any way or embellished anything that they said. There were a resident was a witness to all that and confirmed it. I just want to say that I find all that to be an absolutely stunning lapse of judgment on behalf of our chief of police, our interim chief, and I'm just appalled that he would interfere with the medical care of a gunshot victim. This was a victim. It was not somebody who was suspected as a perpetrator, but a victim. And to interfere with their care, a gunshot victim's care in the emergency room is just it's just unpardonable to me. I understand he apologized, but apologies for stunning lapses of judgment are just not enough, and I think he's really virtually disqualified himself from being appointed as permanent chief, which I know that our mayor still plans to do now that he has a majority on the city council. I am also deeply, deeply concerned that the city council was not notified about any of these complaints until December. And then further concerned that there was no public notice of any of this before the March vote on the citizens oversight charter change. Keeping this information secret from the city council and from the public at large is obviously a very political move on behalf of the mayor, and I'm just appalled by the whole thing. And frankly, I'm fearful because there are many citizens, many people in our community that do not trust the police, and this is just the politicization of public safety in our community has just really spiraled downwards into a very, very bad situation. And I'm just really sorry for it that it's come to this, and I'm deeply upset by it, and I'm deeply upset for our citizens of color who many of whom do not trust the police. And this behavior by our interim chief just further underlines that. So I'll get off my soapbox. I just feel like I just felt compelled that I need to share my feelings with folks about this. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Erhard.
I'm not aware of what he spoke of.
Can you give a mic?
I'm just not aware of this, what he's speaking of. Someone.
All I can tell, all I know is what I read in Digger, in Vermont Digger, and so there is, or 7 days too. Just 7 days.
7 days actually has much better coverage. They're the ones that uncovered this. They got the most recent article.
Okay, I think if you read that, it'll give you a fair amount of background. Yes. Yes, there's a mic somewhere.
Thanks. I'm Cheryl Green. I just want to follow up on what Erhard was saying. I've been thinking a lot about this too. And for me, the issue of de-escalation is extremely important in terms of working with people. And like Barbara was saying, in terms of her social justice work. And I'm very concerned that this is a person who doesn't understand how to de-escalate himself in a stressful situation like that. Thought a lot about the surgeon trying to go into this surgery, having just experienced that stress. And I know that women on the police commission also received an apology from him because of his behavior toward them in a commission meeting. So I'm also very concerned about that and feel like we need to have a person in that position who understands de-escalation internally, as well as his capacity to train other people. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments?
Well, yeah, just Erhard got on a soapbox, so I figured I had to as well. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't just on the Murat stuff. It's for me, it's disqualifying, not this one instance. Like, we're all human and can have bad moments. I've had plenty of bad moments, like everybody does in life. But it's a pattern of not being willing, as someone in a executive position or someone who has a lot of authority over our public safety system, of like not being willing to reflect on those and change. And this is someone who still to this day does not acknowledge that there's racial bias in policing in the Burlington Police Department. I mean, that's his position, and he's been pressed on that over and over and over, and does not think that racial bias exists. So for me, it's like, it's just one in a line of things that makes me really concerned. And, you know, and it's also fair. I've heard people say like, well, you know, we're not going to find a better police chief. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it's a race to the bottom mentality. But not too long of a soapbox this time. That's all I got.
Thanks. Any other comments? You got Mike?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to put myself in a dangerous situation here right now, because I'm gonna say something a little different from what everybody else has said. And it's really it's a request for understanding. I don't disagree with the principles that any of you have raised right now. I think everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. All I know about this case is what Courtney Landon wrote in the paper. And I personally don't find Courtney the most unbiased of reporters, of journalists. That's my opinion. This is in front of the Criminal Justice Council at the state. And I don't really know what the Criminal Justice Council at the state is, but maybe we should let them do their work. If there's reasons why we think they're incapable of doing their work, then that's important. You could educate me on that, because I don't know. But if this is in the middle, it's like in the middle of an investigation, maybe we should wait and see what the outcome of the investigation is. That's not to say I think that Courtney's lying in the article. It's just that this is an ongoing thing. We should get some answers from the people who are really looking into it. We're supposed to be impartially looking into it. Those are my 2 cents.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah.
Can I change the subject? Or are we still on this subject?
Now you've got the mic.
Okay. This is really trivial compared to what we just talked about. But I walk the neighborhoods all over the place, and there is an incredible amount of litter and garbage all through the neighborhoods. And I know there's a certain time when the neighborhoods are cleaned up, and I'm wondering when that is. And if we could, not till May. Oh my God. It's going to be 75 tomorrow. It's bad. It's bad. So if I could do a plea that maybe we have a neighborhood cleanup.
Can I ask a question? Do you tend to see it more on days that people have recycling out? Because on my street, when on recycling days, there's a tendency to see things, wind will pick up things and
Yeah.
blow it around. And so you tend to see a little bit more.
Yeah, that is true. And also, God, come the time that the students move out, it's really bad. But I think it's just that the snow cover is melted and there's a lot of stuff that's been there for a long time. And it's not always just on the greenways or anything. It's, anyway, I would love it if we could say, okay, April 20th, we're going to go clean up Burlington or at least
Carter's going to want to put that on his list.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Later on today. But
Yes.
That'd be great.
Okay.
And there is cleanup day. Cleanup day is the first Saturday in May.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Carter, maybe, Kate, Carter may be organizing a super green up day for Ward 1.
Yeah.
All right, this is last call for speak out.
One thing about the trash stuff though, because this has been a pet peeve of mine for 30 years, 40 years.
Yep.
But we have this new law about toters. Everyone has to have the blue toters with the cover from, I don't know, May 1st or something like that,
It is, maybe.
which I think is good. I like that they'll be covered and less stuff blowing around. But in the ordinance, the city ordinance, it says trash and recycling is to be put out on the day of pickup. And then those toters are supposed to be removed and out of sight. Now that is not happening. It has not been happening for many, many years, and it's gotten far worse in like rental neighborhoods like Lower Loomis, Union, North Willard. Things are not supposed to be stored on the greenbelt or the side next to the sidewalk 24/7. And, you know, I try to get code to do something about this, but I think as a whole community, and I've heard people in South Union complaining about this too, now that we have these blue toters that are so big and they're being stored on the greenbelt. But that's something, it's against the law. And if we as a whole community ask our city, you know, DPW or code or whoever can do it to enforce the law, there'll be less trash. I mean, I'm always appalled at the marathon, how our city looks when we have the marathon, because all that trash that's been under the snow is still there. It's really embarrassing to have guests come, walk down to see the marathon, and what you see from Henry Street down to where the people are running is horrible. So anyway, thank you. I think we should have a green up sooner than May 6th and ask the city to enforce their ordinance about toters being out of sight again after the day of pickup. Thank you.
All right, Carol.
Sorry, Tom. I also, and this may be part of what we talk about later with Carter's help, is we can call city departments and say, get on that, or you carry a garbage bag with you when you go for a walk. I mean, that's some of it too. And I get that it's frustrating. I get it's a mess. I mean, I guess there are needles in some place. I mean, I get that. But to some degree, I think there's something we need to think about is just what's my responsibility for my neighborhood? And we pick up crap all the time when we're walking the dogs. We just do that. And then the next time I walk, I don't see anything. And so that's a pleasure for me. So I think it's something we think about with a number of these issues is what is my responsibility as a member of this community, as well as a taxpayer. So I just think that's something we need to think about, that dynamic.
Thanks, Carol. All right, this is the last call for speak out. And don't get me wrong, I think we've had, Erhard, you're up. But we got to be quick.
Just real quick. Personally, I mean, I think the toters are probably a good thing for larger rental properties, but we have a duplex. Having this huge plastic thing is just, we don't need more plastic in the world. And I just think they're outsized for smaller apartments, for duplexes and triplexes that just don't have that same level of need. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Erhard. Troy, I see that you've probably had your hand up for a bit.
Yeah, just a quick little screen share here. I just wanted to let Sharon know that I can validate that her concerns are accurate. UVM may be misrepresenting their enrollment data. I don't know if you're seeing my screen or not, but hold on, you're not.
We don't see anything you're sharing.
Hold on, I'm about to. This is the data. You're not out of whack. This is not the city. I've done some work on this. I put it into a bill. Here's where UVM built U Heights South, the U Heights. Here's the enrollment 5 years later. Here's where UVM opened CCRH. Here's the enrollment 5 years later. That's the trend. I just wanted to share that. Yeah, it's a problem. That's all.
All right, thanks. We're going to move on. I apologize because I'm a really bad timekeeper here. But we do have to move on to city council updates. And Zariah, do you want to start?
Yes. And I'm going to break my own rule. I'm always going to keep it to like 3 things, but then you talk about things during speak out and I'm like, I feel like I have to address that. So I'm going to start with Acting Chief Murad, who say it again.
No, I'm trying to get people to be quieter on this end so we can hear you.
Okay, with acting chief Murad, which, I think I agree with some sides that are maybe not on my side of the table. It's like, I don't think this automatically disqualifies him. And I still have a lot of respect for John Murad, but at the same time, for me, I think the bigger concern is that I do think this is a systemic issue. I think that this is something we've seen with multiple people now, is that when his authority is questioned, he very much chooses to double down. When I last voted on his appointment and I tried to come to compromise with the mayor, one of the things I asked for was that the mayor sets forward a plan to work with him on this. The mayor said, no deal, that we're not doing this. And I think for me, the second problem is that I don't trust the mayor to, when choosing between chiefs and choosing between transparency with the public and in choosing to create some kind of performance plan with chiefs, I just don't think the management is there either. So I don't think the mayor's given the council any information on how this issue has or will be addressed. I think that he continues to choose his appointees over transparency with the public, the media, or even the council. Again, I think he chooses to tell us very little. And when he does it in a way that we are told we cannot share without, being legally liable, which I think is problematic. So I just think that that is my problem. And then the Criminal Justice Council, I think this year for the first time, maybe voted to discipline officers for their first offense. So it is generally seen as as a pretty biased body. It is not seen as I would say it is more biased than the folks in this room. So I don't know that is the holdout of what we should be waiting for an investigation, especially because if they, it is my understanding that unless they provide discipline, there will be no public disclosure of information. So just want to make sure that that's known in the room. So I will leave that there, but I think my opinion has not changed I think the thing that is disqualifying to me is having a police chief that says that racial bias isn't a thing in the Burlington Police Department. That for me is a disqualifying thing. And then again, I would want to know that some of these issues that he has a manager who's actively working to see that those are being addressed. That's not his problem so much as the mayor's problem, but that's neither here nor there. Now I will change to some of the other things on announcements. Trinity Campus, Sharon Busher, I think mentioned this. You all know how I feel about Richard Kate. I'm sad to hear that. I think the council's been very, very clear with UVM that we do not think that they are the problem, but that we want them to be a partner in the solution, and therefore we need them to come to the table. Disappointed but not surprised to hear it phrased differently. There is movement in terms of potentially sitting down with the mayor. I do think the mayor isn't quite as rigorous on this as maybe the council as a body. So I think just hope that folks continue to stay on him and on the council on making sure that if there is an MOU that it kind of meets our minimum requirements, especially because I do think per Troy's point, UVM has been pushing a narrative now that they've been keeping pace with beds, which beds may be true, but that's not quite the same thing as building new housing or having housing keep pace, as we know with the forced triples. So more bad news, Memorial Auditorium. I think you all have heard, but I just want to make sure there were two proposals for Memorial Auditorium. One was kind of repealed after folks did more due diligence on their finances. And the other one was for housing, which just wasn't a feasible proposal in terms of their cost estimates. I don't know that much about building housing, but I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't seem realistic. And so we're reopening the proposal. If folks want to speak to, I think one of the questions that the council has is, we're definitely hoping to open it up a little bit more. I think the first proposal kind of had all of the hopes and dreams on what the community really wanted to see in the proposal. Like, here's the survey that we did. Folks wanted to be a public space, a performance space. We wanted to stay in city ownership. And we're realizing we can't, like, as the longer Memorial sits, the less we're probably going to get all of our wishes. My condition that I left on the table is, even if it's a 99-year lease, I don't want to see it sold. I would rather just see it rented. I don't think we should be getting rid of public property. 99-year lease is already hard to swallow, but I think a sale would be hard. If folks have any other kind of minimum conditions they want to point out, feel free to email me. Feel free to speak them into the room, whatever works. And I'll do one more kind of longer item, and then two just, this is happening. So I think folks have heard me talk about this, but just to throw the numbers out there again, in 2019, we had 261 houseless folks who were sheltered, and 48 were unsheltered, just around 300 people. Last year, we had 658 in Chittenden County, sorry, is the frame of reference, and 658 folks who were sheltered and 10 who were unsheltered. So a total of nearly 700. And I bring this up for two reasons, which is one, I think this year to deal with how many folks are going to be unsheltered and what we want to do with that in a humane way, because right now we don't. That compared to our shelter capacity, that means hundreds of more people in Chittenden County who legitimately don't have anywhere to go, because the shelters will be far beyond capacity. And then the second thing is just a reminder that, like, folks are struggling. I know a lot of us have been pretty resilient throughout this pandemic. Maybe our livelihoods haven't changed that much, but that's not true for everyone. I think we sometimes forget that, and just that folks are struggling mentally, they're struggling financially, and just a reminder to offer as much compassion to folks as possible. And then the last two things are just that charter change and ordinance, which I'm on the which I will remain on the ordinance committee, are going to be looking at South End rezoning. So there's a big South End rezoning project to allow all kinds of development there, and I'll give a more comprehensive update in the coming weeks. And then we're also going to be looking at oversight, because almost every counselor and the mayor have said for years that we need oversight, as we know the last one failed. And so we're hoping to look at what oversight we can provide through the police commission, which I do think is a good idea. I think the police commission is the right body, given all the work that they've already done on coming to learn their responsibilities and what is possible to be an oversight body for the Burlington Police Department. Sorry, that was so much longer than I wanted to do it, but hopefully that was helpful.
Thanks, Zariah. Any questions for Zariah? Richard, you got a mic there?
Zariah, very, very quickly, about 5 years ago, the NPAs organized a meeting on the future of Memorial Auditorium. It was very well attended. I'm thinking at least 100 people, and went through the history, and it was a wonderful meeting. And I'm just wondering if the city council has ever considered any of the proposals that came out of that meeting.
Yeah, I think that was the information that was summarized in what became kind of the annex to the proposal in terms of what folks wanted to see out of that space. And I think that with the city having no more bonding capacity and nobody really being interested in doing some of those things in the building, I don't see, like I said, I think the first RFP was like, here's the city's hopes and dreams for what we want the building to be. And I don't think we see a way that that's going to happen with like current material and construction costs.
Yeah, I was just surprised that the essence that came out of the meeting was never ever reconstituted, but that was 5 years ago, I guess.
No, correct. I wasn't at that meeting 5 years ago, but at least like came out of like what we said, this are the community's hopes and dreams, was like that it should remain a public space to some extent, that it should honor its function as a veteran memorial, that it should have some of that, like, I mean, there were lots of things, right? It was just like, oh, it'd be nice if there were food vent, like there were so many ideas that were in there, but nobody's come forward to make any of those ideas a reality. So I don't think it's that folks didn't know the ideas. I think it's just there's not a like the cost of first doing the building and then making that happen. Nobody seems to be interested in filling that role.
All right, thanks. Anyone else? It's all yours.
Thanks. Well, my report is going to be much shorter than Zariah's because I've only been on the city council since last Monday, and really my only official act so far has being sworn in. I have been doing some preliminary work. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tim Doherty, and I am your city council person for the East District as of last Monday. My apologies. So I haven't been a city council person for very long, but there has been a considerable amount, and I'm sure Zariah went through this when she was first elected too, of sort of preliminary meetings, informational meetings, some of which I think pertain to some of the discussions that we've had. So for example, yesterday I spent an hour or two over at the DPW and discussed some of the issues with them that have been raised here. It was primarily an informational meeting for me to learn what DPW does, how it works, you know, how they interact with the city council, how they perform their functions. I had a similar informational meeting on the TIF development regions, bringing me up to speed on what those are. I think all the new city council people have been through these routines. That was fascinating. On the TIF front, it was something that I have not a tremendous amount of previous understanding of as to actually what goes into those funding mechanisms. And there have been a couple more meetings like that. With respect to DPW, I did raise, because it's a number of people have asked me about the trash issues. I did raise this with them, and they talked a lot about their hope that the toters with the lids were going to make a difference, which I think that they probably will. I asked the question about enforcement, because it has been raised with me whether or not there has been a diminishment in enforcement on the requirement that, you know, we property owners bring the bins in. They didn't have the answer, and they referred me to the enforcement folks. So that's next on my list. But it certainly seems to me that there's a question about whether or not enforcement has declined, and if it has, why. Which raised for me whether or not there might be even some tinkering that we could perhaps do with the ordinances. Interested to hear about our ideas in the neighborhood and in terms of trash, but it's clearly a significant issue. The other big issue that's been discussed is the issue with Acting Chief Murad. I did not know about this, of course, well, maybe not, of course, until after I was elected in the city council. So it's new information to me as of last week. I'm still getting up to speed on it. You know, when I was running, I said repeatedly that I didn't know how I was going to vote if the mayor brought the acting chief forward to the city council. I still don't know how I'm going to vote. It certainly seems to me that this issue is a really serious one. His conduct, as it's been described, has been serious. I have not had the opportunity to hear his side of what happened. I don't know whether the city council has or whether the police commission has either. Obviously, that's an important step in the process. And I think, I think the city is facing a really, again, if the mayor brings acting chief Murad forward for a vote, I think we face a really, really significant, grave decision that has really significant consequences on both sides of the equation. I hear loud and clear the reservations that many people have about acting chief Murad and the basis for those reservations. I also think we have to balance an assessment as to what the city will look like going forward for the next year or two if we don't have a permanent police chief, and what those kinds of consequences will mean. So that's a long way of saying, I don't have a position yet, one way or the other. And I think it's too important a decision to rush. So that's what I've been doing in terms of sort of getting oriented. There's also just a tremendous amount of logistical orientation that I won't bother you with in terms of getting the email set up, which I think I've successfully done, getting all the paperwork in to become an official city employee, which has been, and it's been really interesting and exciting to begin the process of meeting with all the city departments and learning what they do. There's just a tremendous amount of nitty-gritty work that goes into running a piece of infrastructure like our city. So those are my updates.
Questions?
I have a question.
As far as litter and the toters, and I say this as a retired supply chain professional, DPW didn't order enough toters, so they won't all be in until June at least. And meanwhile, you stick with the blue bins and you won't get fined.
They did mention I forgot to mention, they did mention to me the supply issue with respect to toters. They also told me one other thing that I wasn't aware of, which is that not only did they move toward the toters in interests of keeping the recycling from blowing about our neighborhoods, but that they had that there had been injuries with respect to the haulers picking up the topless bins, and that because these can work with the mechanized trucks, they anticipated that it was going to be safer for folks, which is not something that I knew or had thought of.
Karen.
Thank you. Yeah, they had said that in their little postcards that they sent out about people were one of the biggest issues was shoulder injuries with the haulers, but to Earhart, there are 3 different sizes, my understanding. You can get a small, medium, or large blue toter, blue covered one, and they're all different prices. But I think that I think it's a great idea, and I hope that they will just keep them out of sight, so that we don't have to have blue toters all over the place. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. They also are asking people to only put out the toters when they're full, so that it will save time for their pickup people. And I know on my street, some people did put their toters out before they were full, and the collectors didn't take it and left a little note or hold them or whatever. So they're asking you fill the toters to the top and then put it out, instead of them having to empty it when it's only a quarter full. So that's a good thing too. I think less traffic. They should be able to get their job done quicker if they're not emptying, because they do have to hook it to the machine and it dump. So anyway, that was the other thing that DPW told me about, only putting out toters when they're full.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I have just a question. I'm just wondering if Soraya or Tim or anyone in the room knows the appointment of a permanent police chief. Is that like a career appointment, or is it, for 5 years and then it's reviewed or anything like that? I just realized I don't know about that at all.
I would
Yeah.
defer to Soraya on that.
Yeah, it's all I am struggling to remember if it's coded, because I know for the city attorneys it is how many years they're appointed for, but it definitely is a like usually the same term as the mayor. So it's anywhere between 2 and 3 years is the appointment process for, I think, most of the department heads. 1 to 3 years, I should say.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Yes.
Quick question. Just a quick question, and it's just about channels of communication to you. I guess I'm just wondering, I'm sure you're just deluged with meeting with these city offices. Are you going to do something similar in terms of now that you're our elected representative? Are you going to be having like a listening tour similar for, and how might we plug into that?
Yeah, so one piece of my plan is to have sort of regular coffee hours, and something that I wanted to talk to Zariah about to see if she was interested in. I know Hannah King from the 8th Ward is interested in it. I've been asking people, and maybe we can have this conversation afterwards, but I've been asking people, and I asked folks at the Ward 8 NPA meeting that I was at last week or the week before, what would be the best mechanism to have consistent, regular communications with me about what's going on, and also, frankly, candidly, something that I can make sure that I can fit into my life, because I want to make sure that I set up a system that I can stick to, as opposed to just trying to deal with things willy-nilly. Certainly I know the other city council, most folks on the city council have regular postings, sort of legislative update, city council update on Front Porch Forum. I'm committed to doing that on a monthly basis. I think a monthly basis is probably adequate, but happy to hear if people want more, or maybe less of me. I thought sort of office hours, coffee hour, either at my house or would be a good idea, but I want to make it mechanized and routinized and sort of systemic, which isn't to say, of course, people shouldn't feel comfortable calling me and coming by and emailing me and texting me whenever they have an issue, of course. But I that was my first idea on that front, but I'd be happy to hear more.
All right, we are going to move forward. Thank you very much.
Can I move?
No, you cannot move.
All right,
You
fair
have to
enough.
stay. No.
I'll stay here.
We're going to go to the school commissioner update. Where's it's right here. Here's a mic.
Yep. Just take his spot's warm seat. Good evening, Gary Golden. I'm also newly elected, in my case, as the East District's school commissioner. So there are many things happening in the district, and probably more than I can talk about, because I don't want to rob too much of Carter's time. If you've joined Front Porch Forum, I'm posting there after each of the board meetings. I posted today. I did not use my board account, so I'll repost for those of you who aren't in my little corner of Burlington. So that's sort of where it'd be easier for you to get a lot more information about what's going on than I'm going to be able to present in this setting. Right off, let me say I do also have a email account, and it's really simple: ggolden@bsd for Burlington School District bt.org. That's all in the Front Porch Forum. I also posted at length about the board meeting and also the Covenant School shooting. In my case, I'm a former school employee, so I may get I don't know if I'll get my hand slapped, but I went into a little detail about what it means to be a school employee in an active shooting drill and what you and your students are going through. Because I think it's a pretty sanitized process on how the media covers it, or what, unless you know a teacher who's talked to you about what they've had to do, it's a really scary and to some degree for the students traumatizing experience. Because if you're doing it correctly, the teacher doesn't know, and the student definitely doesn't know. So you are kind of sure it's a drill, but you don't know, and you're hiding. And that's the point I was trying to make, that we are actively hiding from someone harming us. I'll miss myself, I wouldn't do that. So that's all in the letter. I tried to sanitize it a little, but that's there. Good news. I'll move on. Our Department of Justice review has been settled. This was something that came out of the Sustainability Academy a few years back. I've put links in my transcript about how you can get more information about that. It was really about bullying, about harassment, treatment of our global majority students. And all those numbers are improving. Our equity report came out and is showing that we're really working hard to include the global majority. And that's, I think a pretty appropriate term for our new Americans, our refugee population, and really engaging them in the sort of upper end classes, the advanced placement, the honors classes. I'm coming in underneath because my population was always the at-risk population. And that's the next piece. What are we doing for the students who may not be interested or may not need those classes, but they need some tech education. They need more practical experience across the board. So I'll talk more about that as the year goes. Next important meeting tomorrow night, there's open house for 2 new candidates for the BHS principal position. All 3 of the candidates are sort of homegrown. Milton, Barry, and then a new person is the principal at Hanover, which is a shared state. It's both Norwich, Vermont, and Hanover, New Hampshire. So it's going to be nice to have them coming out and knowing what being a principal in Vermont's about. We've had several instances with our past superintendent where he was not aware of Vermont law around schools and made some poor decisions around accreditation and reorganization. We've got people who kind of know the system a little better. So those are the high points. Please look at my transcript. Please give me, I also have a website that my daughter set up last night. So there's for the Carters of the world who like to multitask, there's a podcast of me really basically reading my posting, but if you're cooking, you do like I do, you're listening to something. So you've got me for at least one night. So any quick questions? Because we want to give Carter as much time as possible for the exercise that's coming up.
Thank you for taking the job.
Oh, it's actually my pleasure. I'm a former employee here, so I'm just probably the weirdest candidate or member that they've gotten in a while, because I worked in 4 of the schools. My daughter attended 2 more of them, and Carol worked at another. So I've had sort of direct contact with 7 of the 9 schools. So they don't really know what to do with me yet. It's kind of fun. So thank you all for your support, and please email, or the phone number's there. I'll call you back. I don't know about coffee times if I'm going to do that, but I may do some meetups particularly as budget season kicks off. I want to give you as much information as I can about what that's going to look like with the bond, and it's just going to be a mess. So thank you all.
Thank
you.
Although the last item for tonight is a brainstorming discussion, and Carter's going to lead that. This is really to bring up projects that should be done in our ward, and possible sources of funding. So Carter, yeah, I'm gonna hand the mic to you.
I'm gonna get my script. Just my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah, so I missed last meeting, so I missed kind of like the what gave rise to this, but at the last NPA steering committee meeting, we were thinking about like what could be projects with the goal of both doing something that's Ward 1 specific, so like in our neighborhood, but also something that like we can get to know each other a little bit better, have some fun. NPA can be really fun. It could also be kind of dry sometimes. You know, it doesn't always like lend itself to hanging out and getting to know people. But we're changing that slowly but surely. So this is what I'm going to do. There's a box of pencils here, and there's basically just 3 questions we're trying to answer. We're not trying to come to any decisions tonight. Just trying to think like big, broad strokes. What are some ideas? It could be anything, honestly. Like, first question is just like, use your imagination, whether it's, 2 examples were like the pathway over by the hospital. Like, if we could just wave a magic wand, wouldn't it be great to have a stairway up there, from East Ave to the, like, up that hospital hill? I know like Is Good, like Brian Chena and a bunch of other folks do a bunch of planting with a bunch of different community partners of like, neighborhood flower beds, and sort of make the street look a little bit nicer, get to know your neighbors while you do it. And then it could be something like Trinity Campus. Like, I think Jonathan or Tom, I think you sent the email, making the point that it could also be something like, hey, like, we want to go all show up to this thing, whatever it is. So just think big picture. I'll pass it around. We'll pass around this box with pencils. You take a pencil, take a sticky pad, and maybe split it in half if we need to share the sticky pads. Write down your ideas. We'll do like 10 minutes. And then right behind you, Karen, there's like an ideas. You can't see it because I thankfully got a pen or a marker later on, but that butcher board right there is all the ideas. And then we'll go through and sort of talk about like, okay, what can we actually achieve? Like, what's in capacity, what feels realistic, and then what maybe not so much, or maybe is a much longer term kind of thing. Does that make sense to folks? That is a great question. I almost forgot. You got me there. So Sam does not have a chat function on the Zoom, so he can't send you all a chat. But if you're online, if you do the Q&A function and ask Sam a question, it could just be like, hey, I want to participate. But if you message Sam, he can respond with a Google Doc that we set up, and all the prompt questions 1 through 3 are in there. And so you just throw your ideas down, and then afterward, throughout the process and also afterward, we'll make sure that both the physical sticky notes and the virtual sticky notes via Google Doc are taken care of. Does that make sense to folks on Zoom? Does anybody have questions about that? I got the big thumbs up from Troy. All right, I got 2 thumbs up. I'll take it. Okay, sweet. Let's pass out pencils. No other questions? So right now it's just ideas. Just like what ideas what are different projects we could work on as a community, either improving something, just something that we could do in the neighborhood that we could do together and have a joint project. So just 1 of the 3. Yes. Yeah. We're just starting with ideas, and then we'll go on to the other 2. All right.
But it's really open, right?
It's super open. Yeah. Yeah.
So from planting flowers to a big dig to the lake, anything's fair game.
Anything and everything.
Okay.
You should think big. Yeah.
From Winooski down to the lake.
Yeah.
Big day. Yeah.
All right. Can I give you this? Just take one of those.
Yeah, sure.
We'll split this one. Yeah. You want to do pencils? Well, that'd be great. Awesome.
And you want one idea on each paper, or?
I'll take one idea and then we put it right out the ideas. Yeah.
Hey, Carter, could you outline that again? I don't see a function for participating.
Yeah. So you see the bottom left, like near your mute and your video button, Earhart?
Yeah.
So like right next to participants, there's a Q&A.
Yeah, not on my phone. I have a Q&A button at the upper right, which I've pressed, but it doesn't allow me to say anything.
Sam's saying that's it.
Because we're panelists, we can't do the Q&A. We can only answer the Q&A.
We can do.
So
there's
somebody
al-
needs to type, and then we could only answer 2 minutes.
There's also the whiteboards option.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Did you guys hear that?
No.
Nope.
Folks on Zoom, Sam is just gonna kick you down to not panelists, but attendees. Okay? Yeah, and then.
Yeah. The amount of that.
No, go watch. The more the better. Just fill it. Yeah, wait, I got. Just an extra one.
They built it next to the original one down and physical move the other one. That's incredible. So they built a TV move. I really like 1927. Especially the client. Yeah. More than that happened. We came alive. That's how it's like. And I like this one. This, yes. Technology.
And then just for everyone online, if you are an attendee right now and you don't want to participate, just raise your hand and I'll put you back up into a panelist. Thank you.
Hey, Sam, I think I accidentally went back to being a panelist, so I. Still not sure how to do this.
Yeah.
Did the Q&A function completely go away?
Yeah. And
Okay.
Well, I got Troy's question, but.
I know that.
Okay. I'll kick you back down and send you the link
Wait,
again.
never mind. I think it's okay. I just didn't scroll up far enough. Looks like I can answer this.
Perfect. Okay.
I don't think we've ever used like all of the well, I've only got up to whatever it is, but I feel like we never were trying to find stuff to send them.
No one's officially told me this. Yeah.
No, I think that's right.
I think it's a well-founded. Yeah. You don't know what the parameters are on sending it, but I think they do like
Yeah. We were talking about, that was one of the questions we were asking the steering committee. It was like those, and then also the yeah, it's a very good point. And then the I do nonprofit fundraising for a living, so it's like I was like, yeah, let's just go hit up businesses and meet them, and yeah, I think we can find the money. If we have this cool project, and like between those and like somebody, you know. Yeah. I agree. I think it'll be good. How long has it been? So do folks need a couple more minutes? Are folks still thinking? You're good? Could you all use a couple more minutes? Yay, nay? 2 more? All right. Give it a couple more minutes.
Yeah, also that do it and
I have an issue with work. I think Sharon. Okay, guys.
So we'll give it like one more minute. If you haven't yet, throw the sticky notes up with all the others on that boogie board.
Carter, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So I'm having difficulty. I was having difficulty accessing, but all I wanted to have you write for me is just some beautification along Riverside Avenue, flower boxes or something like that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good one.
You want me to write that?
You got it?
I'll do it. Okay.
All right.
I'm making a nature room for you. What is your room for you, babe?
you can get down to the water, if you want to do that.
Hey, Carter,
Yep.
I forgot to add a zip line all the way down to the waterfront. If you could just add a zip line to the waterfront, that'd be great.
That counts.
We're getting rejected.
Here, I can collect.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, thank you. All right, well, we'll wrap up the ideas section. I know a couple more people are just sticking notes there. Everybody got theirs in? I know virtual, I see a couple. And Sharon, we got yours in as well. Oh, Karen, be careful, you're just wrapped on the cord.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any pencils and?
They're floating. Yeah, pencils and stuff can come back here as folks can. So bringing back everybody back together to think about ideas. So we're going to go through, I'm just going to read each idea on the sticky notes. And then I want to get like a straw poll as I read them. If you feel like they're in capacity. And what I mean by that is like now until August-ish, right? Is like the rough timeline. Like this is something we could achieve, we could plan, we could come to next meeting and like get done by August. Or if it's something that feels more longer term, right? So like something that maybe is a great idea, but it's going to take a lot of planning, a lot of research. Doesn't mean we don't do it. It just means like we should be realistic on time stuff. Does that make sense to people? Yeah.
Should we be taking budget into account if we're saying what's capable and what's not?
Yeah, I think so.
Or something.
For sure. For sure. I think it's like budget. It's like, how long would it take? You know, how sort of logistically difficult, like what would go into doing that? and we can have some of that discussion as we go along. And yeah, certainly how much it'll cost. I do fundraising for a living, so I'm always like, don't worry about cost. Like, it doesn't matter. We'll find somebody to give us money. But yeah, like if it's a $3 million project, that is different from like a $250 project. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, Carter, I looked a little bit into where we can get money, and there's a number of places where they, you can write, proposals, write grants to, and the dollar values of that they'll respond to can be in the tens of dollars up to the tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So, there's a pretty big space, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, there's like Vermont Community Foundation has a ton of small grants, and New England Grassroots Fund, and yeah, to your point, I totally agree. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna shift this way and maybe grab a new mic. Yeah. And folks, and I'm well, so I'm gonna shift them right here, and Richard, I might have to, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry to kick you all out. But so I'm gonna move them into like, I'm gonna get a straw poll. So if you think it's like incapacity, you raise your hand, and then I'll move over and I'll be like, okay, is it more out of capacity? Or if you have questions or something, give some sort of indication where we think we are.
Possible and impossible.
No, so I think in terms of yeah, it was in and out in my brain, but it's really like short term, like achievable by the end of August from now. And then this is maybe like longer term is going to take a year, or we need to like figure out what it would entail. Like maybe we don't have all the information, but you know, something maybe to start us off, and then something that we could, once we have a little experience collectively under our belts, could get into. And then we'll take a vote on like, what's our top three, and everybody will walk up with a pencil and mark an X, but we'll sort of move the sticky notes as we go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, quick question. Are you going to give like a 2-sentence explanation of what those 3 or 4 words on the sticky mean? To sort of give us perspective, so that if we say we can do something, or it's gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
You gotta be grounded, so it would help if you did.
For sure. That's totally fair. So we'll go quick, yeah, because it's gonna be what do we got? We got 20 minutes. Good word.
Read all those in 20 minutes.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so I see community garden in in a park. Community garden in a park. In capacity, end of August.
Sure.
In? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, as I go, if I see any dupes, I'll grab them. I see, I'm gonna embarrass myself and not be able to read handwriting. Neighborhood, something talking like. Who's got this one? It's the cursive.
Neighborhood storm tubing. Like
See, it's not so easy.
Storytelling like moth hour.
Oh.
Neighbor to neighbor theme.
Storm tubing. I'm gonna say in. Okay. I like that too. Closed streets for car-free bike access day. In? Okay. Whoop. Nice.
Mexico City can do it every Sunday morning, so can we.
Amen. Weed rain garden on Mansfield Ave.
Rain garden and Mansfield.
Weed. In. North Street too.
Oh, wait, I just want to say, because there's one right in front of my house, the city is responsible for that, and they're a little better now about sending people out to do it, but not that great.
Okay.
So,
And
it's
feasible.
yeah.
Feasible wise? Okay. Don't hesitate to work with adjacent ward if appropriate. I'm going to take this as a general tactic and put it down there. I think that's very true with any of these projects. Street or block cleanup, in or out? Okay. We're very realistic. I like it. We're very grounded in what's possible. Restore city green belt that has been made impermeable by cars. Context on this one?
I did that.
You did that?
We own city property, but a lot of our green belt is just packed down because people don't respect the grass.
Mhm.
And Paul Bierman did a thing a while back, he's a geology professor, where he literally took his UVM students and they broke up the soil and planted grass. And he's always said that, you know, if we did that, I mean, it's amazing how much green space and permeable soil has been lost in our ward. So that was that.
That feels in?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Okay.
It's like restore Greenbelt.
Maybe, yeah, restoring. the
Restore
green belt.
Greenbelt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is city, you know, like I say, we own that. I think that's out.
You think that's out?
I think that's a long-term project. What is?
Temperature check?
Depends how much you're gonna do. You're gonna do a block or you're gonna do the whole ward. Ward's long term.
I mean.
Because I think that, right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna put it on depends on how big the scale and put it at the top. Yeah.
You can do demonstration project and then that would be it.
So I'm gonna speed up a little bit, folks. It's gonna be like what they do in like the Roman movies, like, yeah, get it. Bus stops.
Better bus stops all over the place.
I'm gonna say out.
Yeah,
Out.
yeah.
I agree, though. I would really like that.
I just, quick question, better bus stops means better bus stop shelters?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of bus stops that are missing shelters.
Shelters, okay.
Okay.
Know where they are.
Yeah.
Benches. Benches.
Clean up salmon
Salmon hole.
Mail.
Salmon hole trim. Good idea, but that's so.
I think it could be the,
If it's-
like the top depend on the size, like how much, like if you just wanna do that bench area at the top, or if you're doing like the whole trail.
It's really messy down there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna agree with that. I think it's a good assessment. Meet neighbors and ask them to bring toters in when picking up end of day. I'm gonna say out/depends.
No,
In.
This is communication, this is easy.
Okay. I love it.
House strip plantings.
Yeah. I shouldn't have been a sticky note reader. So say that one more time.
House strip is where all it's like the space between the sidewalk and the street.
Green belt. So I'm gonna put it up with the green belt guy. Sponsor community parade like month end ramble, like the ramble in the Old North End.
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
Maybe out. Yeah. Really good idea. Old North End shouldn't have all the fun. Community dinner pre NPA, expand the chili, smiley face.
Yay.
Yeah.
In? Out?
I say in.
Okay.
It'll be inspired.
Okay, let me throw that there. Trash cleanup plus competition.
Oh, yeah. Trash cleanup would make it spicy, make it fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
that's
do
a
it
good
with
idea.
people, like do it as teams with like people you don't know in your neighborhood.
great idea.
In?
Yeah,
That's an in,
in.
yeah.
It's a good reason.
Yeah, I love that. That sounds awesome. I dropped one. Hopefully that stays up there. I'll tuck. There we go. Community, yeah. This is so many butcher board and sticky note exercises in my life. Community demand safer streets. I don't know.
It's like forever, yeah.
Okay, long term. Probably. Create access to Szymanska Park from Colchester Court longer.
I think we could do
It's a
it.
big project.
Yeah. I like the idea. Definitely feels big. Set up a community beer garden festival. I think that's more here with the Ramble, also pro.
That's the top of the list though.
Monthly cleanups we got already. Picket UVM president over housing.
Yeah.
That's one over my, that's one after my own heart. We feel like in.
It's feasible. It's feasible.
All right, I'm pro. We did say advocacy. Monthly cleanups we have somewhere, so I'm just gonna put it down there, but yes. Clean up trash days. Remove graffiti. More bus shelters. Those are the next two. So I'm gonna just put trash cleanup, graffiti / monthly cleanups together as sort of a similar idea.
There was a bus, there was a stop one.
Yeah, there was a bus stop
I
one.
think it's on the right though.
Yeah, so this one's more, so more and better bus stops there. And these go.
We used to have a team of people that remove graffiti.
They still do, but
Mhm.
it's largely volunteer.
Well, I
It's working.
mean, graffiti is just so out of hand now. I mean, the YMCA. It's got broken windows, it's got, I mean, it.
The old
never used to be
YMCA.
like that.
You guys have seen council sharing.
But I mean, seriously, like, there's so many broken windows now.
Yeah.
It never looked like that 5 years ago. Like, it's way out of hand.
I
So
also think that
Hey,
there
Carter,
is
what-
kind of the ordinances on graffiti.
yeah, we're going past graffiti. Bus shelter we already have, community garden space, we already have, plan more wildway connections. In or out,
That would be like, you know.
yeah. Clean up garbage, we have throughout ward, improve access to Centennial Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Longer,
That's more effort.
yeah.
Yeah.
Longer, okay,
You gotta talk to UVM.
maybe we won't get housing, we'll get just access to the woods. Okay, flowers next to the bus shelters, we have bus shelter stuff, I'll put it there. Talk about why so many trash. I don't know.
Why
so many trash offers and companies that haulers will offer to pick up your trash weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, how big a cart you want, and that's just like, how many trucks are gonna go down our streets?
They just really get that. That would be an out, but I think it's totally.
I agree, I'm gonna say it's an out, not to interrupt, but yeah,
But it's a process, it's like.
yeah,
Yeah, the city council were trying to do it. They couldn't do it.
yeah.
Yeah. No, the city council.
We tried to municipalize, yeah.
Here, nobody wants to like give up any territory. Here, Myers, all of them.
It's like the Sopranos. Okay, graffiti removal, we have, community murals boards, community mural boards.
Oh, I think that's gotta be related to graffiti. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking going around putting up boards where we can have artists or ourselves go paint stuff.
Yeah.
Do we
There's also like a community board where we like post what's going on.
I think that needs to be on the top where.
Top.
Yeah, depends on scope.
Yeah.
We are at the level.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's a great idea though.
FYI, I did read in Front Porch Forum that somebody is looking to do murals in our ward.
Ooh,
Okay.
Cool.
Keep that in mind.
You want locals, just plugging it out.
All right, builds. I'm gonna move us on though. Build on options for Semanska Park events. Which might be some old East End collaboration. I'm gonna say in.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure, yeah.
Dave does it.
Does that feel? Or maybe it depends. It depends on how many we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, in the process. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna say depends. Mutual aid projects, existing new possibilities. Jake Schumann knows a lot about these. Yeah. Mutual aid projects.
Would be kind of a depends.
I'm gonna say depends.
Yeah, I'm leaning to the button, sure.
Okay, I like that. Ooh, I'll get that, I swear. Thank you, thank you. So I have build up multi-use path to East Ave to connect East Ave and Grove Street.
Long term.
Long term.
How could that not be long?
What do you mean? It's gonna be, we'll bang it out in a weekend. Beautification on Riverside Ave, that was Sharon's, which I think we have flower bed stuff, but I think specifically on Riverside Ave, I would say that's in.
I voted in.
Yep. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put that there, but it's in. A community board, community band, community oversight board, community band or orchestra.
Oh, cool. I think that's an in. We already have. Pomeroy Park Cemetery.
Yeah.
I think that's an
Yeah.
in.
All right, I'm gonna say in. Community potlucks with singing or dancing or neighborhood musicians playing, kind of like in.
Yeah, 'cause you got the community free and.
Yeah. Kind of the same line. We're getting close, folks. How are we doing on time? Okay, go. Sponsor pop-up village food, retail goods, cafe, etc. Maybe a little longer term. Yeah. More Ramble-esque, but kind of a similar idea. Bake off or meal with homeless neighbors.
Ties in with mutual aid.
Ties in with mutual aid. So I'm gonna say depends, scope. That's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Donation-based scavenger hunt across Ward 1. That would be dope.
So like, Old Folks Home had done like a scavenger hunt where you have to go find, for example, $10 of locally sourced produce. Go find the baked goods behind a tree and then go find some clothing from a thrift store. Bring your haul back, and then at the end of the scavenger hunt, you donate it to an organization.
I'm gonna say longer.
Yeah.
I biased the vote by putting it there, but good with longer.
Yeah.
That's really cool though. Create walking path from Riverside Ave to North Ave or Mansfield, North Street, Mansfield Ave or North Prospect. I'm gonna say longer. Yep, based on precedent there. Advocates to city council on a regular basis, showing up to city council meetings as part of like the NPA as a group, sending some representatives to make sure we always have a voice there. I'm gonna say in, right? That's an easy. Can do that. Desired paths to build paths, to built paths.
Yeah, so like taking desired paths and making them built.
Awesome. That makes sense. I'm gonna say longer.
Yeah. What is that? Desired paths to build that, like, so like taking desired paths to making them built, like
Like,
putting stairs or
We're,
whatever.
and I'm assuming where people are already walking, but it's not a path. Okay.
Yeah.
We're doing this. Walk the ward and ID obstacles for pedestrians, right? Isn't that where you were just sharing? So I'm gonna say in. We can expand on that with Dave. Build a pedestrian bridge across the Winooski River.
Yeah.
I'm pro that. But I'm gonna say out. Let me do 3 here at a time. Build paths Build path steps from Colchester Ave to Scamanska Park. I said that wrong, but you know what I'm talking about?
I think there was another one that was.
I'm gonna say in, or I'm gonna say out. Yeah. Fix potholes. Could we do it ourselves? I'm gonna say out, but yeah.
We could do the flower, put the flowers in them.
Oh, flower beds after is good. Yeah, right in the potholes. Community garden. Over there and beautification. Fellowships plus outreach with our elder communities. Example, Fern Hill. In?
Yeah.
I'm gonna depend scope, maybe?
What did you say? Say that again?
So it says fellowships plus outreach with our elder communities. Example, Fern Hill. It's pretty quick. Yeah. Okay. No, I lied. It's in.
How do we engage with them? Yeah.
Yeah. Clean up graffiti. We have benches on greenways and community bike rides. Community bike rides in?
In, sure.
I'm seeing nods. I'm hearing yeses. Okay. And yeah.
You go in a big group.
Up clean graffiti. We have benches on greenways. Out. Out. It's going out.
I would say probably near a bus stop.
We have graffiti, so I'm just putting that one down there. But we do have it down. All right, let's do these last three. I've been avoiding their paragraphs. Some way to integrate people in new communities. Example on Riverside, into the NPA, maybe hold meetings. So integrating folks from New American communities into the NPA, into our work here a little more.
Like Salmon Run and the ones on Patchett Road, those big developments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Brand new people.
That feel in?
This one I think about
Bayberry.
We got two more, not to cut folks off. Report back on how traffic calming efforts are working. How well traffic calming efforts are working? Is this one of yours from your FPF post? Report back on how the traffic calming measures, traffic calming measures are working.
It's like a whole system of reporting data back to us. It's like a whole thing.
Unless it's specific to whatever.
So that sounds in because yeah, but if is it just who wrote this one? Do we know? If it's just reporting, oh yeah, Cheryl.
Yeah, sorry, I wrote it. Yeah, the idea of, so for example, Darren was talking about, we've been reading about what's going to be happening on East Avenue and some very specific things happening. And so as the months go on, do we feel like it's making a difference and just sort of staying in touch about that?
I think that's in.
Yeah.
Because that feels like we could even take it on a steering committee, like just getting somebody to come in the agenda. Clean up some of the encampments on North Prospect, Riverside, the Steep Woods area, as well as Graveyard. In, out, feels a little more out.
I think it's in. I think we could do that in like a day.
That should be out.
Like, wait, who said out?
I did. Earhart here. I don't think we should get involved in cleaning up encampments. That's really not a neighborhood thing. I think it's unfriendly towards folks who are without housing. Many of them have no other option.
So you're saying an out?
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. I think it would.
They say don't do it, not that it takes a lot of effort.
Well, yeah. Here, it would take a lot of effort and coordination with the city, and potentially, I'm hearing we don't have buy-in. Okay, so
Determine whether an encampment is abandoned.
And if it's abandoned, do something, so maybe that's a long term.
Maybe that's longer.
Mutual aid kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it in longer term with that asterisk. Is that all right for now?
Determining whether it's abandoned.
Yeah, I can add it. Well, I'll add it before I take notes. I'm gonna take all these and type them up post this meeting so that we have a record of this and remind me
Carter?
before we leave too. Yeah.
Can I just jump in? I don't know if, I've been listening. I haven't heard any of the ones that came up from folks who are zooming in. I know the two that I posted in the Q&A did not get in. So if, you could just consider, I know Troy put in something. I think Zariah put in something as well.
Yeah, I totally forgot, Earhart. You're right. Let me pull it up right now.
Thanks.
I don't see it in the Google. Sam, is there stuff in the chat?
It's in the chat. I could not deal with the Google Doc on my phone. Sorry.
The Google
Mine
Doc
are,
was
mine are
ambitious.
not
That's
project
okay.
per se, just some thoughts.
Yeah, so Sam, do you want to just read them out from the chat one at a time real quick? And we'll go one and we'll say in and out, and I'll write it down on a sticky note quick. Does that sound good to folks?
Yeah.
I'll write them down.
So from Zariah, an improved pathway between Trinity Campus, Riverwatch, and the Public Square.
I'm gonna say out.
From Earhart, replace the planters that are/were in the Cheese Street neighborhood. There used to be 3, 2 got destroyed, and the remaining one's in bad shape.
Pause there, Sam, so Dave can catch up. So the first two, Zariah's of building path sounds like some of the other ones we've had here. That's probably an out. And the second one was talking about flower bed construction, if I'm correct. And that's maybe more of a maybe or in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
By August.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Earhart will be here and Z will be there. Dave, could I actually grab those as you write them just to remember where they go? Thank you. Okay, next one, Sam.
The flower boxes are likely also on the full D10 project list, but I think they should be on both.
Flower boxes.
Yeah.
We'll say flower boxes here +1. And we have traffic calming on here. Sam? That's it. Okay, those are all great ones. Thank you all. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is a little bit of abbreviated from how I thought because we have so many ideas. So we are gonna do this.
Would it make sense to do something to sort of summarize where we are and continue in the next meeting, because we're sort of out of time.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. That makes voting a lot easier.
Unless people.
No, I think that's good.
That sounds okay.
That's good.
You have to digest.
Yeah, if you can get this enumerated on paper and send it out to everybody who wants to see it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe some homework.
Yeah. So that's a great prompt. We have an email list now, and we could send out an email to vote on these. What do folks think about that? And then it forces you to receive our
I
emails.
think if you send a list out and there's like 5 stickies with the same thing, you should make that clear.
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah. I'll condense.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
There are probably only a half a dozen themes in there.
Mhm.
If you think about it, there's flowers, there's, traffic, there's bikes. I mean, cleanup,
There's beautification.
you, that's flowers, right?
Yeah.
So if
So-
you distill those down to 3 or 4 major categories like
For
that,
sure.
then I think we could vote on a major category. You'll get direction.
Do you agree that we vote next meeting, or are you saying now?
No, we can't do it now. I think
Okay.
distilling, you need to take the stuff,
Mhm.
distill it down. They call it affinity. Put all the stuff that's similar
For sure.
together, create the overarching, theme, and then give us back the themes and just say, we found, 17 ideas related to beautification,
For sure. So yeah, that's exactly what we'll do. We'll keep a record of everybody's thing, so we have the detail if we ever, for posterity's sake, want to look back. I'll condense it out. We'll send an email. We won't vote via email to keep it simpler. We'll vote at the next meeting, but we'll send them out so folks can mull between now and next NPA, and we'll figure out the agenda and send that out as well.
Also, I guess building on what Dave said, the you know, if there are a dozen things that are under beautification, maybe one or two of those can be done in the near term. But
sure.
those other things we should keep on our list because they would be perhaps good candidates for the following good weather season.
Definitely. Yeah. No, totally. I totally hear that. And we'll incorporate that into the distilling / recording. That sounds good. So we got through a lot. We didn't get through everything, but I think that's really good and it'll give us a chance to breathe and figure it out. Okay. Any last thoughts? Wrap up. Thank you all. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for putting it in this direction. I think it's a good idea.
May I say just one other thing, and it will be on a positive note? Okay. It is about back to Jared Wood, because I learned of his death and I was just struck by it. I don't know him very well. He walks a lot in my neighborhood in North Prospect Street. And I would talk with him often when I was gardening, my front garden, and he always admired my front garden, and I was always honored. And he left an article for me some months ago about a lovely plant that he thinks should be in my front garden. And I actually have that plant, but I had another one in the backyard. And so I said, thank you, Jared. I do like that plant. And I took that plant and I moved it into my front garden for him to see this season. It's blooming right now. And I want to say that I really appreciate how many suggestions there were from this community about how we beautify our neighborhood, about how we plant our gardens and we share our gardens with each other, because that's what happened between Jared and me. And I so appreciated that he would give a damn like that and that we could talk about it. So I just kind of wanted to summarize the meeting by saying, this is a kind of a way to honor Jared, that we're doing. That's all. And I invite you all to come see my garden. It's called Helboris. And it blooms. It's one of the first things that can poke its head through the snow. It's just a lovely plant. So yes, there are. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our meeting for April 13th, I think, 12th, 12th, 11th.
20.
What? All right. The consensus is it's April 12th, so we're going to go with that. And we will see you all next month.
Thanks all.